A lot of fun stuff in the plans today for Driving Dish NBA. We got some buyout market stuff we're going to talk about. I am very excited for my Ballin' and Fallen personally.
Okay.
And
All
I'm
right.
very excited to debut a new attempt at a feature that we've been keeping in our back pocket for a little bit. We were kind of waiting for NBA news to get a little slower so that we could do this. But essentially, since we're getting close to the back half of the season, we felt it would be a fun conversation to do a tier maker for all the NBA teams as our warm up. So we'll do that first. There's been some. At least a flash forward to my Ballin' and Fallen, there has been some injuries that at least are worth mentioning on our end, which I actually didn't hear until ESPN was running it today on the show before our fishing show that I had to do. So,
There was a spree last
mhm,
night of
yep,
it kind of I think when we get to your fallen, I think we're gonna kind of be on the same page
yep.
here, but it all is ironically themed around hands, apparently,
Yes,
too.
it did.
They're all hand injuries, but yeah, we'll get back to that
I
in a little bit.
weirdly enough, I think the weirdest hand injury that we have ever had to cover was the Blake Griffin hand injury. Remember that? He
What
fell
did
it he fell in the tub.
I don't remember him falling in the tub. I mean, I
That was
remember
That was, like, the thing, but then it, like, leaked out that he got into an like, there was, like, a thought of an altercation in the Clippers locker room, and we're like, "Oh, well, that's like, a punch gets thrown, maybe you miss, you hit something, like, that makes more sense for a broken hand," but there was something like, he fell in the tub, and it was just like, "What?"
it's so random. And I mean, look, I believe it. Like, you wipe out,
But, like,
bend
we
your finger
this
the wrong way.
well, yeah, but, like, even think this year you had, Eric Gordon or Aaron Gordon with the, dog biting his hand, like, we've got some weird hand injuries in the NBA.
Aaron Gordon's explanation of that was my favorite when he was just like, he took no like remote, he didn't even try to blame it on the dog. He's like, yeah, I
No,
might have been off that eggnog and like got a little rough with him.
but
And it's like, bro, like, what are you doing? Are
dude
you trying to fight your dog?
well, no, and, like, I get it, roughhouse with the dog, like, have a good time, but I'll tell you what, the crazier part of that whole thing is, like, you gotta have a decent amount of that eggnog to get to that level, and, like, eggnog is so filling and so many calories. Not that it matters for him, but, like, holy moly, that's a lot of eggnog.
I did not realize how many calories were in I have had 2 things just
Yeah.
absolutely ruin for me when I found out how many calories were in them. One is eggnog, and, like, I love eggnog. I especially love the vanilla flavored eggnog. I don't know if you've ever had that. I love coquito too, which is basically like actually, I don't wanna say that. That sounds a little but, like, that's a Puerto Rican drink. It's a rum-based
Yeah.
drink. It's made with
Okay.
coconut milk. I was gonna say it's like Hispanic eggnog, but, like,
Okay.
I don't know. Either way, it's delicious. I love it. Um, the other one for me, and this is not related to Christmas at all, but Swedish fish.
Oh,
5 Swedish fish are
yeah,
110 calories. I love Swedish
I
fish,
do too.
Justin. How did this
Dude.
happen?
Dude, Swedish fish, and I'll tell you what, the other thing is these sour watermelon Sour Patch Kids
Oh, I
are
believe that. That's straight sugar,
so
though. I have
elite.
no delusions there, but, like, I didn't think Swedish fish were packing 110 for 5
So,
p That's not like, "Oh, I had, like,
5
5
pieces too.
handfuls." That's
Yeah.
5 Swedish fish.
Yeah, yeah. My, like, Achilles heel is the pull and peel Twizzlers. Like,
Oh, yeah,
I'll
oh,
eat an entire bag and feel terrible, and I won't be able to stop myself. Like, I just
yeah.
won't be able to stop myself. But either way, let's jump into the NBA tier list.
I love the pull and peel so much. I'm
Oh.
very glad we're aligned there. That's the
If
best
we were
tier list
if
in the
we were
world to
making
me.
a snack food, tier list, dude, I pull and
Tie,
peel would be up at the top.
tie. It's right near the
So
top for me.
so here's the thing is, we have 2 options here, right? Like, we could just stick with the normal tier list, E, A, B, C, D, or we can change them.
And just make it A, B, C, D, F.
No, no, we could be like tier 1, tier 2, best, crap team, like, we can change it however we want.
Make it S tier instead of like A tier. And we can add a row if need be. Like that's the thing is like
Yeah,
if we find that
we need
as
to add something here.
yeah, because it's gonna vary by conference too. But I feel good about my S tiers. The 40 club, the 40 win club, I don't know if
Yep.
you're familiar with that, is what a lot of people use as their S tier to see who is serious about winning the title this year.
So
Um,
Nuggets, Thunder, Timberwolves, Celtics.
yeah, that was the one. Clippers just missed it the other day.
Mhm.
Now, I have right off the rip, the Nuggets have to be S tier for me. That's part of them winning the title last year, but I do think they're heating up at the right time. Like, I got to give them that benefit of the doubt. S
All
tier
right.
for me.
So Nuggets, Celtics.
I think Boston has to be there. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about Boston, more X's and O's and
Okay.
balling.
He's coming.
Going crazy.
The ads are going wild right now on this
I
thing.
was going to tell Monster Jam was up there. I was going to say Monster Jam, no joke, is one of the last things I went to before COVID, which is such a ridiculous sentence.
You know
But
the
yeah,
last no. You know what the very last thing I went to?
what's that?
I can pinpoint it. This is such like a I'll tell my kids about this moment because obviously like it's a big part of like what will I guess be the
Yeah.
COVID history.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Dude, the literal so Rudy Gobert gets sick, everything shuts down. It was like a Wednesday, if I remember correct.
Yep.
That Tuesday, for anybody that lives in Jacksonville, knows the beginning of March is really when the Players Championship starts up. And on Tuesdays, they do a military appreciation night by the Island Green at 17. Usually it's a country artist like this, Cody Lane or something like that. Like this year's a country artist, and years before it's been country artists. One year, the
I was going to
Chainsmokers,
say, is this the Chainsmokers year?
the Chainsmokers decided to do it. And if you know Chainsmokers, they're a little poppy, they're a little DJ.
It's not the genre that for that event,
dude.
man. It's just not. It's nothing against them. It's just the wrong place. It's like read the room, guys.
So we were doing a radio show because I was on the sports show. We were live broadcasting from the 16 fairway across the pond from where the Chainsmokers were going to be performing. And we were up in this little suite. And next to us was the Chainsmokers suite. So they were doing tequila shots with fans as they were walking by all day. I'm talking, we were there from, we probably set up at noon and we were there till 6 o'clock. Their show started at 6 o'clock. We were going to go a little bit longer. We had to stop because they were cursing so much and we couldn't bleep it out in the background of our broadcast.
Right.
So we just had to like bail on the show. But dude, yeah, they were cursing, and I'm talking like the whole Island Green area turned into a rave. People were dancing and jumping into each other. It was crazy. And no more than like 24 hours later, it comes out, don't be within 6 feet of somebody. I was like, I was just mosh pitting with people.
There were thousands of people here.
We were just mosh pitting together. And all of that to say, that was the last thing I went to. And because the Players Championship shut down the 14th of March, Nicole, my wife, who usually has to work that tournament, didn't have work. And her parents were in town because they were going to go to the tournament. Right. So the 13th, while Nicole was still at work because it hadn't shut down yet, I went down to St. Augustine and asked her dad if I could marry her. And he said yes, luckily. And then on the 14th, because she didn't have...
wild if he didn't.
Because then on the 14th, because she didn't have work, we went down to St. Augustine for dinner and I proposed to her. So it's like a whole weird... COVID thing that we were able to do because of that.
That's crazy. I definitely forgot you proposed to Nicole right before COVID. That's crazy.
Literally, I proposed, she said yes, and then we were stuck inside together for like 6 months.
Oh boy, you knew your marriage was gonna work out real quick then. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, we found stuff out real fast.
Maybe you might have been smart to lock it in ahead of that 6 months, because I'll tell you what. Anyway, S tier. Denver, Boston, I think are no-brainers. I don't know. Like
Thunder?
So this is where I'm going to get controversial.
Oh, you're going to hate.
I don't think the Thunder are an S tier.
Oh, you're going to be a hater.
The Thunder are an A tier team. And this is where it's more controversial. I do think Minnesota is an S tier team.
Wow. So you want Thunder there. I disagree, but I'll follow along.
I trust Minnesota's ability to play defense a little bit more than I trust the Thunder. Like the Thunder have never done this. I think that's going to matter. And I know they keep winning and proving me wrong. And I know all their young guys are great. And I know they're going to be world destroyers probably within the next 2 years. But right this second, I just struggle to see them beating Denver and Minnesota. And Minnesota's got guys like Conley and Gobert.
Sure.
And I mean, even Ant and Towns now have had playoff runs. I don't know. I just trust a little bit more.
And I'll say, maybe not as much, like we'll talk about Mike Muscala a little bit here, but I think the addition of Gordon Hayward was a little bit to help with that. I
It
think
is.
that was like a little bit of an idea is get someone with that experience, somebody that can kind of like walk the young guys through it and calm the tensions in the locker room. Like I really do. I would put them up with the 4. I'll roll with you one tier lower, but that hurts because they like I feel like in the next round of people we're gonna put, and this might feel like a little bit of a slight, but
No, you
you
don't think they're on the Thunder's level. That's fine. I respect that.
not even that, you put the Cavs there, and I'm like, "Come on, Thunder
I
are" you know what I mean?
but see,
Like,
I don't I see how let's get controversial again. I don't put the Cavs there. I don't think
okay.
I
Well,
don't
I
like
agree with that. If the Thunder are A, then I agree the Cavs have to be lower.
I think so here's my thinking right now. I think that the Clippers are an A tier team. I think
Okay.
OKC is no doubt an A tier
Hold on,
team.
let me get them. Hold on, let me get them up there. Where are the Clippers? Where are the Clippers? I
Uh,
I don't
oh, there they are. There's Utah.
next to Utah. Oh, yeah, okay. That
I didn't
confused
think
me.
they were there for a second either. I'm like, wait a
I was like,
minute.
"Wait
I'm
a
like,
second, did we lose the
oh,
Clippers?"
the Clippers.
All right,
So
you want Clippers there.
this is where it gets tough for me. Because
Okay,
I don't like I guess Milwaukee should be there, but I
they
have
should.
zero faith in Milwaukee with Doc. And I
I
think the
agree.
Clippers and Thunder are way better than Milwaukee. And so that's almost where it's like I need an A minus tier.
So do you wanna do we just wanna put, how do we wanna do that then? Do you wanna do Bucks lower than
Well,
that?
let's get a couple other ones out of the way right away.
Okay.
Let's do the obvious, like so D tier, bottom of the league. Washington Wizards have to be there.
Yep.
The Pistons
Piston.
have to be
Yep.
there. I think the Spurs have to be there, even with Wemby.
Okay.
I think the Spurs are getting, and Wemby just does something every night that it's just like, how is
Wow.
this a real person? They're going to totally ruin the world in a little bit. Um, and see, that's where it gets tough for me because,
Do
like,
you put the
the Pistons
Hornets?
and Wizards have 9 wins and the Spurs have 12. I think we probably, for the sake of this exercise, should put Charlotte there, and I would probably put Portland there, especially given their injuries right now.
Sure, sure. Yep.
And it's like that's the thing is like maybe that's where it's like you put an F tier and you'd have Washington and Detroit who are a little lower, and maybe San Antonio then.
Because, like,
Because
to me, what about the Grizzlies?
I think the Grizzlies are borderline. I think they're like a
If
little.
we're only working with these 5
We got to add.
tiers,
We have to add
yeah,
an F because I think the F is
because
way
we're
different.
hurting.
Because I
Can I
don't think
add
Memphis isn't.
add a
Yeah,
row
I don't
below? Here we
know.
go.
Okay.
Okay, so here I'm okay putting Memphis in this new category as like
Well, let's make that
a
D. Let's make that.
little hold on, better than crap. All right, so this is our little better than crap team tier.
our C minus, if you will.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
Because like Heat,
Memphis is definitely.
Rockets, not the Heat, sorry.
Yeah, I think the Rockets are there. I think Memphis is there. I think Toronto is there.
Toronto. Okay.
I think Brooklyn is there.
Brooklyn, where Brooklyn at?
Where
Utah,
Brooklyn at? A
Utah,
little better than crap. Where Brooklyn
Utah.
at? Hey, yeah. Utah. So yeah, probably like Utah is the best of this bunch by far, in my opinion. Oh, maybe not by far. They're a little better than Houston, but I think Utah probably is there as well. If I want to get controversial, do you put Atlanta and Chicago there?
That's what I was just about to ask you because I have them better than a little better than crap tier, but I don't want to put them in that C tier
I
because
just
like
think
that C tier to me might be like 76ers, Cavs.
so I'm a homer, but if Embiid's healthy, I think the Sixers are an A.
Sure, sure.
I don't know, and so that's
There's a
why I'm not
question
going to
mark.
put them
Yeah.
there for the sake of this.
Like we are about to have a real situation here with how tight this is about to be in B and C because like there's teams that are borderline both. That's gonna be tough, man. Because like to me,
I
I'd
move the
almost
Bucks up to A. Move the
yeah,
Bucks to
because
A.
we need 2 to work with. Because like Pelicans, Knicks, Pacers probably better than the Cavs. Probably like we need to be able to tier those 2 away from each other
My
at times.
problem is giving the Pacers a C sounds so bad, and like
Yeah,
I can't in good conscience have the Pacers, the Knicks, the Cavs in the same
But could you
tier
put
as the Knicks or the Hawks, I should say, and the
right?
Bulls.
So that's what I'm saying. Hawks, we can put them here if you want, and then like Pacers can go up here.
But then
Heat
who else
can
is
go
in
up
C? But
here.
then who else is in C with the Hawks then besides the Bulls?
I would probably put I'd put Bulls.
This is
Now,
where it gets weird, just because the Bulls have 28 wins, the Hawks have 26. They are both firmly under 500.
yeah,
Indy, Miami, Orlando, Philly, the Knicks, they're all well above 500.
yeah, you
And in
almost
the
need a
West,
tier
the
in between the
Lakers, the
two.
Warriors, the Mavs, like all those teams that are in the play-in are at least 5 games above 500. So that's where I just struggle. I think we should bump Atlanta and Chicago down. And that's where I think we start tiering B and C a little different.
So you want them in with a little better than crap teams?
No, I think we should make an F tier. I think we should
Oh.
move the a little better than crap tier down to D. And I think we should make the I think
I
Atlanta
see.
and Chicago are the a little better than crap teams.
So
If you
you're saying
will.
add a row below and
Yeah, I
say
think we make that to
so
F.
bad.
Yeah, so bad. I agree. And that's the Wizards, the Pistons, and the Spurs and Portland right now.
And then
That's
you
probably
want
the
these
lowest.
guys here.
Yeah.
So these guys are essentially like we need to reach name D to just crap. And then Hawks and Bulls are going to be in a
Do
little
you want
better
to move
than
the
crap.
Jazz up to a little better than crap, or are they?
So, standings wise, Jazz are 11th with 27. I feel like I'd have.
They're under 500. Never mind.
Well, and I was going to say, like, at least if I'm comparing Jazz and Hawks, I feel a little more confident in Hawks and Bulls just because.
Same record, though.
I know.
Oh, we got to move them up. Now that they have the same record, I
You wanna
can't put
move 'em up?
Atlanta. Yeah, because I think they're the same. And Atlanta's going to
Okay.
stink too with Trey being out, which we'll get
Yeah.
into in a little bit later in the show.
Okay.
Now is where it gets a little. So if this is how that's set right now, this is where I'm like, okay, I'm fine putting Indy in at C.
You
I'm
want
fine
Indy
putting.
one down.
I think I'm moving in. Miami's weird to place. We'll come back to Miami
Yeah.
in a little bit.
Yeah,
But
I'll
I'll put Indy at C. I'll put Orlando at C. I would put, and then like the Lakers, Golden State, Dallas, and Sacramento.
Dallas and Sacktown.
I think they're all C. I think they all could float to B. Like these are borderline C's, and like the difference between C and B, in my opinion, of this like tier maker is very, very narrow. Like I could definitely see any C tier teams beating a B tier team. And honestly, like there's a couple, like the Magic are playing really well right now. I could see them move up a little bit.
So, and I guess
Warriors
that's
are red
where
hot right now too, and that's where it's like
Warriors and
Warriors
Lakers
going up.
Warriors and Lakers both are. Warriors are 8-2 in the last 10, 7-3 in the last 10. Orlando Magic, like you said, are 7-3 in the last 10. Like where were the Pacers on that last 10? 6-4. They're still.
They all have the same record. I guess that's kind of my point. And it's like they all have the same. I guess,
but out of
the Lakers have more playoff experience, if you will.
That's what I mean. Out of this list, Pacers, Magic, Lakers, Warriors, Mavs, Sac. I probably would be willing to put my trust in Golden State and the Lakers out of all that, and almost want to move them up just for that.
God, the Lakers. You have me on GSW.
Yeah.
The Lakers are so weird this year because I feel like they can beat anybody on any given night.
Yeah.
And then I just feel like they can also lose to anybody on any given night.
Yep.
Like I feel like the variance there is higher. If you want to move Golden State up, given the way they're playing right now, I'm not really too upset about it.
So for the podcast listeners, the teams we have left that have not been tiered out, if you've been following along, we'll also give you an update on the whole tier thing at the moment. We have the Cavs, the 76ers, the Suns, the Miami Heat, the Knicks, and the Pelicans, which I think is very representative of teams that are kind of like, we're not 100% sure what we're getting from them at the moment.
Yeah, so I have
Cavs less than probably the others because we do have to give them credit. They're the second in the East. They've been playing really, really well.
I think rounding out the West first, I think the Suns are fine at B. I'm
Yep.
super cool with the Suns as a B tier
I
team. They
think
still
Suns.
are a little bit of prove it mode
Yep.
as these three are playing together, but it's starting to click. The offense has shown signs of
Suns
what it can be.
Suns fans, though, probably a little upset that they're being put in the same tier as the Warriors, who are in ninth right now.
Yeah, but they're not that far away. We're talking like a
Yeah.
two-game difference at this
Yeah.
point.
Yep,
And
yep,
I
yep.
don't think there's a radical difference. Like the Suns can beat the Warriors. That's not meant to be
Yeah.
a slight. I just think they're in the same category. I think the Pels are B team too. I think they're right there with the Suns and the Warriors. They've been winning a lot of games recently. And they've been the most under the radar, honestly. Like I feel like we've talked about them the
So
least. Like they've quietly just surged
yep.
up the conference standings.
So looking at this with the B and C tier. So right now, B has Golden State Warriors, Phoenix Suns, New Orleans Pelicans. C has Indiana Pacers, Orlando Magic, Lakers, Mavericks, Sacramento Kings. I think we would be a little bit of homers if we put the 76ers in B only because Embiid's we're not sure yet.
Well, so
Uh,
that's my
yeah,
as yeah, my bad, not to cut you off, but
no,
yeah, that's kind of where I was at too. Is it's like if we're being real about how the Sixers are playing right now, like they're borderline a little bit better than crap, like a C tier team without
yeah,
Embiid. With
yeah,
Embiid, I would put them as high as A, given the way they
yeah.
were playing earlier. But
I
I'm
think
kind
I
of
agree.
fine putting them there as C just because again, Embiid is not playing. They have other injuries too. Covington is still missing time. Like Tobias is beyond been terrible recently,
Yep,
which isn't helping things either. So,
yep.
yeah, I mean, I think currently where they stand, if that's how we're doing this, I'm fine putting them at C. Um, Miami is always the sleeping giant. You know what I mean? It's like, how do I tier Miami? So part of me feels like I should tier Miami at A. But it's like
Right.
I have more faith in Miami in the playoffs than I do in Milwaukee with Doc. Like I have more faith in Boston is probably the only team this season why I have more faith in Miami than.
I agree with that. I would say just because of Giannis all by himself, I would probably still put the Bucks above them.
Yeah. I can't put the Heat lower than B though.
No, I don't think you can. I don't
But
think you can.
and so this is my problem with, and it goes back to a little bit what we talked about last week. The Cavs and Knicks have to be Bs.
Yeah,
If the Cavs bare minimum have to be. If anything, the Knicks have been the ones that have skid recently a little bit, dealing with
yeah.
some injuries with OG. Obviously, Randall's still missing time as well. Like
Mhm.
the Cavs would be the one that if you borderline want to bump somebody up, it's A. But it's also tough for me with tier maker because it's like I don't think the Cavs are nearly as good as the Thunder or the Clippers. So like
Yeah.
what is an A tier team? It's just the Cavs also though play in the Eastern Conference, so I feel like I could see them going further than potentially
Mhm.
some of these teams. So I don't know. I mean, they've certainly been on a tear recently. I mean, they have confidently surged up. The only reason they're not closer to one is because Boston keeps winning too. Like that's what's
Boston's
great.
just cooking,
And
dude. Boston is
the
just
Cavs have
cooking.
made up a half game
And
on them.
and not only that, Boston has an open roster spot and might be able to add Patty Mills. We might talk about that in a little bit when we talk about free agencies. And it's just like, damn, man.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
wow.
like yeah, they're in a really good spot right now, and
Personally, so like the only thing I would say, and I know we were just talking about the Cavs, right? So I would say I think the Cavs definitely have an argument to move up one tier to that A tier.
yeah,
But the problem is like, and the main reason would be that they essentially have the same win record as the Bucks, and we have the Bucks in the A. And I know it's probably at the end of the day a star power thing where Giannis is just so big, and that's no hate on Donovan Mitchell or anybody else on the Cavs. It just doesn't.
no, Giannis a better player. Like he's one of the
Yeah,
best players in the league. That does matter. I'll say this: if you want to move the Cavs up to A, I'm actually okay with that. They do have 4.5 on the Knicks right now too,
yeah.
so I do
That's
think
what I,
even
and
though the
that's
Knicks
my
beat
point.
them
Yeah,
last year, and that would be their main argument, is it's like, hey, we have a deep nine. We beat you last year. How can you tier us ahead of us? Now, I will say this is where I'll give you a little bump from earlier too. If you want to move OKC to S tier, given that the Cavs are in A tier, I'm okay with that as well. Because
okay.
post
Yeah,
additions, I do think like that Gordon Hayward addition matters. We'll talk
yep.
Mike Muscala in a little bit. But all right, so with everybody placed as of doing this right now, our S tier. So this is the teams that
Well,
we
hold
believe
on.
have a real chance of winning this
We need,
title.
because we've kind of changed the names of all tiers but three, I think we should come up with some names for the other three tiers.
Okay, so
We have gonna win at the top. We have a little better than crap. We have crap, and then we have so bad. So, like,
Um,
what do we wanna call the A tier, which is Clippers, Bucks, Caps? Like, runner I don't even know, like,
gonna win, maybe like might win.
might win? Question mark?
Yeah, B tier is like, man, it's like noisemakers, upset. No, that's so cliche. That's so lame.
We could
Um,
call it, like, the, oh, man.
C tier is like they're cool.
They cool.
Yeah, like basically something like that.
They cool. Alright, and then we just need a B tier, which is a little better than they cool, but definitely not a might win. Um,
It's
I
like,
feel like okay, so I feel like if you look at most of these teams, they've had very I don't wanna use the word bipolar, but they've had very, like, bipolar seasons
mhm.
where, like, it's been up, it's been down. I don't think the Pelicans necessarily count in that. Maybe they were off to a slow start, I do remember that. But it's a very, like, up and down seasons. So it's like, what are you gonna catch them when it comes playoff time? So do we just call it up and down teams?
Yeah, it's something like that. Some
Okay.
up, some down. All right. So to tier these out, our top tier is gonna win, and that's Denver, Boston, Minnesota, and OKC.
Mhm.
Might win is the Clippers, Milwaukee, and the Cavs. Up and down season is the Warriors, the Suns, the Pelicans, the Heat, and
Okay,
the
hold
Knicks.
on. I might wanna make one tweak because if we're calling it up and down season, that's kinda what the Sixers have had.
Well, again, I would move the Sixers up if they're Embiid,
Yeah,
but I think right this second, I don't think
they
they're
cool.
better than any of the teams we
Yeah,
have them tiered with, and that's my
I agree.
problem.
I agree.
They cool as Indy, Orlando, the Lakers, the Mavericks, the Kings, and the Sixers. A little better than crap is the Hawks, the Bulls, and the Jazz. Crap is Memphis, Toronto, Houston, and Brooklyn. And so bad is Washington, Detroit, Portland, San Antonio, and Charlotte.
I feel like if we post this, we're gonna get some heat.
I don't really think it's that bad though. Like
I
honestly,
don't
like
either, but I think, like, Hornets fans might get upset. I feel like Hawks fans might get upset. I feel like Magic fans, Pacer fans might get upset.
I think Magic fans and Pacer fans maybe have beef in that they could argue that they're up there with the Heat and the Knicks. I don't
Yeah.
fully disagree, to be honest.
I agree too. I'm with them in that argument. Like, I understand the argument, but at some point, there has to be a line drawn.
Atlanta fans, they're 5 games under, or I don't even think that may be giving them generous. I think they're more than that, actually. Yeah, they're 7 games under 500 right now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough, man.
Yeah,
And where do we put them with Nets, right? Yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure we didn't have anybody lower or higher. I mean, we do once you get to, like, they cool and up and down season, we kinda have, like, necessarily wins didn't necessarily matter in that, but, yeah, I feel good about it. Maybe I'll save this down, we'll post it, and obviously, you can see the graphic for yourself, but obviously we played along here on the podcast, and you can watch it on YouTube as well.
Yeah, welcome everybody to the Driving Dish NBA podcast. My name is Kevin Rayfuse. Join me as always, my co-host Justin Kuzart.
Did you know that kangaroos can't walk backwards? Never know what you'll learn.
I didn't know that. I learned something today. Hopefully, one of our Aussie pals can confirm that for us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, wait. So, who did somebody tweet that?
They did. It's Giannis's brother who has a show on YouTube, and I guess that's what he was teaching people on YouTube recently.
Wait, so is it Thanasis or is it
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Cost? Wow, so Thanasis going from beyond a meme to teaching people about kangaroos. Huh? Hey, that's good.
So yeah, I mean, listen, man, you want to talk about a crazy fact? He's got you. He's got you covered.
There you go. You can learn a little something on Thanasis's YouTube channel.
Oh my.
We always try to teach you something here on the Driving Dish NBA podcast. Leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad. We'll read them on the podcast. If you're not an Apple user, Google Play Store, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Player FM, anywhere you find a podcast, you can find us.
And like we said earlier, we are on YouTube. You can subscribe to the podcast there. You can watch the video versions, obviously the Immaculate Grids, the tier makers, a little bit of a visual effect on them, so you can watch those there. Driving Dish NBA on YouTube, and you can subscribe so you get a notification the next time an episode is coming out.
Now, word from our sponsors.
So a little bit of news in terms of buyout market stuff going on. I found an article that at least currently is talking about 5 players that are potentially reliable gets in the buyout market right now. So we'll dive into that a little bit. One of the guys that was on the buyout market, but already going to OKC was Mike Muscala. Obviously, with the Steven Adams trade and injury, kind of created a little bit of a need there. So OKC making a move to kind of shore up, and again, I think get a guy who can potentially help them when they make a playoff run.
Oh, Anda's familiar with there. Like Mike
Mhm.
Muscala's played there before too, so it's not like there's a little bit of the get the jitters out of the way, if
Yeah.
you will. This is a guy who wants to be there, and I think it's a good pickup for them. I mean, he gave Detroit some pretty respectable minutes when he came in there right away. I mean, that was kind of post the losing streak, and Detroit is still, one of the worst teams in the league, but they haven't been this 28 game in a row lost bad team. And a big reason of that was part of Muscala's play. So he was going to for sure be popular on the buyout market. So yeah, good for the Thunder for getting that dealt with right away. I don't know if you saw this on NBA Twitter. Did you know Mike Muscala has a LinkedIn page?
No, but that's so funny.
Mike Muscala has a LinkedIn page, posted thank you to the Detroit Pistons, and
On
updated his
LinkedIn?
bio to say that he works at the Oklahoma City
Oh
Thunder.
my gosh, that's
Like,
so funny.
I just like
Listen,
that's so wholesome. Like I just
yeah.
would expect remote. It's like, what do you need a LinkedIn page for? But I guess you do things afterwards.
I think LinkedIn is very important at times, but even I find myself going on it and being like, "What am I doing here? Like, what are we doing? Why am I on here?"
Well, it's always the balance too of like, what do I post there that's personal and what is professional and yada yada yada.
And a lot of, like, video stuff I have to do for the radio is like, "Oh, I would love to highlight this on my LinkedIn," but it's like stupid radio bits. Like, I don't know. It doesn't does that fit? I don't know. So
That's your but see that's the thing though. That's your job. Like is that not your profession?
yeah, but, like, I would post there a picture with me and my Marconi, slight flex,
Well, yeah, that's what it's for though, bro. Like
but, like,
you don't
that's
think I posted with my AP award?
sure, it's like, yeah, I'll post with the
Slight flex.
award, the imaging award, the Marconi, but, like, I don't know, I'm posting the video of me joking about someone that got broken up with because they have, I don't know, cuts on their fingers, like, that's weird, I don't know, like,
No,
that's a
I feel
different
like in a field like you where it is more creative
yeah.
and I don't know, it's more light, I guess. Like,
Yeah,
but
it
that's
doesn't
also like
feel
that's
like
your job. That's what you
LinkedIn yeah.
do.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like LinkedIn business, here's me in a suit,
Well,
whereas,
but
like, my Instagram's gonna be me on stage with a microphone, you
I
know?
know, but like it's also like but LinkedIn's I feel like it's not just supposed to be for like lawyers and engineers
But
and
that's how
like
I feel like it is, when I'm on there,
corporate
I'm like,
professionals either.
"Hello, Mr. Rayfuse," like, let's, like, that's LinkedIn,
Oh,
whereas
wait, oh no, I went to law school. I'm the serious one now.
no, but like if I were gonna reach out to you on LinkedIn, it would be hello, Mr. Rayfuse, and then on Instagram he's like, sup, dude.
I
Like
did
that's
I did comment on my one friend's post who got a new job. I said, "Congrats, pal," and I did have that moment. I was like, "Is that too
is that
informal
too
for
yeah, is
Instagram?"
that
And I'm like, "I
too
need to log off and go
is it
outside."
is it too formal? I also just watch people who are stalking me on LinkedIn, so
It does tell you. That is the one thing for sure where
mhm.
you know about it. But besides Muscala, a few other guys have, I mean, obviously Kyle Lowry, we talked about a few weeks ago with the Sixers. DeLon Wright got bought out and he's in Miami now. Gallinari's on the Bucks. We of course talked about Dinwiddie, who still looks like Norm Nixon. I can't get over that. Um, Playing for the Lakers. But of you guys to watch, I mean, the one that was recent or most recent, I should say, is Marcus Morris, who just got bought out by the Spurs. He, of course, got traded there from the Sixers earlier this season. He's in the final year of his contract. He's going to end up going probably. Or what was I going to say? I mean, he's going to end up going to a contender. Like that's the thing is you just
He's
wonder
shooting he's
where.
shooting 40% from 3 this season.
Yeah,
So, like, yeah, you want someone to get you boards, you want someone to shoot a few threes, like, that's your guy. So, I'm sure he'll be very sought after.
Yeah, Pat Bev on his podcast, who again played with Marcus Morris this
Yeah.
season, so maybe a little bit of smoke there. Said that Marcus Morris was kind of leaning towards Minnesota. which would make
Interesting.
sense. Obviously, fitting the contender narrative, give them a little bit of wing depth. Like you said, he started slow this season, but he really picked up shooting the ball. Like he was, it went from, man, I'm kind of bummed every time Marcus Morris comes on the floor to, man, I'm actually kind of disappointed we traded him a little bit. Like he was playing well for us.
Mhm.
He'll definitely benefit a contender wherever he goes. And Minnesota, I think, would be a great place for him.
And another player that has been talked about is Patty Mills. Now, his numbers this season don't I believe don't necessarily reflect him and what he could potentially bring to a team. So we'll see where he ends up. I know that's the one that Shams was talking about, and a lot of people alluded to the fact that the Celtics do have an open roster spot, and we're tying him to that potentially. So Celtics would just make another move, get another 15-year NBA vet on the team, and have some more depth.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Again, a little familiarity there as well. Um, I mean, in terms of, yeah, Boston just having that open spot too. Again, not to keep previewing the ball and falling, but we'll get there in a little bit. Um, Other guys on the
So
market.
so Oladipo is an interesting one. He got waived by the Grizzlies after the Rockets trade, and he's still like there as an option. Obviously, injury risk and not really sure necessarily what you're getting from him. But could be an interesting spark if you were looking for something like that if you're an NBA team.
Yeah, it's post injury. I mean, that's what makes him so much of a tougher player.
Mhm.
I think that's what, because Danny Green is still floating out there too, and I think that's somebody who will get looked at given his just obviously tremendous amounts of experience, especially on good teams. But
Yeah.
I do think that's a situation where you just don't know at his age post injury how much he can really contribute at this point. Um, and that's also kind of been the holdup with PJ Tucker, I guess, in LA, right? Like PJ Tucker with the Clippers has said, I don't want to buy out, but it's been so like he hasn't really played. And when he has played, he's been such a net negative on offense. Now I would say all that say he was great for the Sixers in the playoffs last year. And so there is a part of me that goes, maybe break the ice, but it's like that just it's feel like it's going to reach an impasse because he's not playing with the Clippers currently in the rotation.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know though. I don't really know. I mean, if he's adamant that he doesn't want to buy out, that kind of makes it tough.
The last player that I had at least on my list from this article was Joe Harris,
Mhm.
who has recently come out and said that he's willing to essentially come off the bench and help his team in whatever capacity they ask. Joe, obviously, good 3-point shooter. I believe he led the league in like 2 seasons from 3-point shooting and percentage. So he's got some injury risk with the ankle surgeries and all that, but could be another one to kind of provide a spark and potentially help space the floor a little bit if that's what a team would need.
Yeah, no, 100%. Okay. So, I guess in terms of some of the players we mentioned, like who do you think can make the biggest impact? Like who do you expect to see get signed here the fastest?
Yeah, Marcus Morris, right? Like, I bet I
Yeah.
bet I bet he's signed before this episode even drops. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if while recording this, something happens, or right after we're done, you send me a screenshot like, "Damn it," you know? Like, it
Yeah.
would not surprise me. I feel like he's definitely the biggest, that three-point shooting percentage and the minutes he's been playing this season are good. I think Patty Mills is a secret, like, really low-key, potentially pick up that he just wasn't really fitting the scheme that he was trying to do, or something was off there. So like I think he's one that like we could look at if the Celtics do go get him down the line, and he comes in and does something crazy during a playoff game. We're gonna be like, you got to be kidding me, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the other one to watch, because I mean, uh, forgive me, Otto Porter Jr. is the one guy that we didn't mention.
Mm-hmm.
Who is another one who I think will get signed here real quick.
Yeah.
3-and-D guy. He played meaningful minutes for the Warriors when they won the title a few years ago. He was in the Kelly Olynyk trade from Toronto to Utah. And obviously Utah at this point is kind of going under. So again, not Minnesota, Phoenix, Golden State, maybe even Boston with that open roster spot. I think some of the teams that could take a swing for him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think like he's another one who I think won't be on the market that long. Our old pal Shake Milton got bought out today too from Detroit. It's kind of
Mm.
mentioned in the Patty Mills category. I think anybody
Yeah.
who goes after Patty Mills is probably taking a look at Shake Milton as well.
Do you feel like out of the teams that we tiered from like gonna win, maybe might win, and up down season, we already kind of mentioned the Celtics. I know you mentioned the Timberwolves. Do you think any other teams might really be, and I know Thunder did Mike Muscala, but really, really active, like pursuing somebody that like you think, yeah, they should be really considering this or hardcore pressing to get some of these guys?
I mean, I think the Clippers should be trying to upgrade where possible. Like, I think teams that are going all in, like
Yeah.
Minnesota's got a spot, like we said, specifically with wings. I think that, and that's why they should be looking at Morris and Porter.
Hmm.
Um, Boston, if they get a wing, they get a guard, but you should definitely be looking to fill that roster spot. I mean, I would like to see Milwaukee try to make some moves around the edges. OKC's kind of already made theirs, I feel like, with getting Gordon Hayward, with going to get Muscala. Um, I mean, some of the younger guys you could maybe see like popping up out like a guy like Shake Milton, for example. If he's not getting bought out by a contender, I absolutely think a young team should be taking a flyer on him and trying to
Hmm.
like give him some minutes and see what he's got. The Washingtons, the Memphises, the Portlands of the world. I think the other player too is Killian Hayes, who we didn't mention. He kind of had an up and down tenure on Detroit, but still really young. I think he's only like 22 years old. That's kind of one of those players where you look around and you go, hey, Detroit hasn't exactly been a beacon of stability and a development haven here in the past few years. Like, let's go see what we got before, we decide whether he's an NBA player or not.
Hmm. Yeah, I think. I mean, obviously, most of those teams are already pretty shored up in what they have, obviously going forward in the season. But yeah, I'm interested to see the moves they make, and as we make that approach to playoff season,
Yeah.
it feels like it's coming a lot faster than I thought it would. I don't know why, but
Well, I mean, this is the first podcast of March.
well, and I think it's because as a Sixers fan, it's like, let's take our time together, let Embiid heal up. Let's like, we don't need, hey, slow up. We don't need to get there that fast,
Well, we're about to be at the 60 game mark,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
maybe about a quarter of the season left.
Yeah.
I think this season too, in particular, like standings wise, there isn't really a ton of drama, and that's
Yeah.
maybe I think it's part of it. Like the seeding itself has drama, but realistically, unless Brooklyn or Toronto goes on a run here, and maybe they will with the Trae Young injury, like Atlanta's probably safe in the play-in spot, and that's where the Lions going to be in the Eastern Conference. I don't think Chicago is going to fall out, and then you have a huge gap between 9 and 8 in the
Yep.
East. Out in the West, like the Lakers and the Warriors have a 5.5 game lead on Utah at this point. Utah doesn't look like they're actively trying to win games. Houston's fallen out of that picture as well. And so
Hmm.
it is about seeding at that point. Like the West is a little more intriguing in terms of like, who will be the difference between 10 and 5 really isn't that much right now.
Yeah.
Where in the Eastern Conference, too, I think the difference between 8 and 4 is really close right now. You start to see some separation elsewhere, but there's nobody really going to be fighting for these spots.
No, but teams that would be sitting at 8, like no team sitting at 8 in the East is gonna feel good about it. Like because it's so close and because of the expectations assigned to all of those teams now, I guess is what I'm getting at.
No, 100%. I think, yeah, the expectations, of
Mhm.
course. And that's the thing that we maybe didn't mention as much as tier makers. Like there's a different feeling about where these teams are on the tier.
Right. Some feel great, some feel real bad.
Yeah, to say the least. All right, who's balling, who's falling? Our NBA version of the stock market. We always like to start with the good before the bad. So, Justin, I'll start with you this week. Who is balling?
My ballin is going out to Jimmy B. Butler,
Okay.
who went full on. I
His
don't think
middle
it's
name B?
no. I just saw Butler, so I went with B. But man, emo Jimmy came back with a vengeance this last week as the star of Fallout Boy's new music video, So Much for Stardust, and oh my god, it was amazing. Um, I was laughing the whole time, so I had to give Jimmy his props, give him ball in for that collab. My question though is, do you think somebody that is a avid diehard Fallout Boy fan knows who Jimmy Butler is?
Yes,
Do you
absolutely.
think
Like,
so?
I mean, if they're an NBA fan, they probably know who Jimmy Butler
But
is.
that's my point is a Fallout Boy fan an NBA fan?
Sure, I think Fall
Okay,
Out Boy crosses over a little bit. I mean,
okay.
maybe because maybe I'm the wrong person to ask because I like Fall Out Boy and I love the
Yeah.
NBA, obviously. Um, I don't know though.
Most people in our building, except for Chase, did not know who Jimmy Butler was, and I was really upset.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wait, really?
yeah.
Who did you ask?
So like there's a few people that are part-timers. They're younger. They help me help out the station. So when it happened, I asked them. They had no idea. Our promo like I guess boss guy, he didn't know, and he's only like a year younger than me. But he's into like screamo metal music. So I don't know. But but yeah, man, I don't know. Like it was weird. I was like, "Oh my god, emo Jimmy's on Fallout Boy." And they're like, "Who's emo Jimmy?" I was like, "Jimmy Butler." Like, "Who's that?" I was like, "On the Miami Heat." And they're like, "Oh, I know who the Miami Heat are." And I'm
That's
like,
crazy because again,
"Okay."
you're in Jacksonville, so I mean, not probably more Orlando fans than Miami fans in Jacksonville, but like not really at the same time. But hoops wise, like I would say it's
Yeah,
probably pretty even,
basketball's
especially
yeah.
with the success that Miami's had
Well, and I
recently.
would say basketball in general in Jacksonville is pretty not like important, if that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Like they care about football. They care about college football, they care about NFL, they care about the Jags. And there's a lot of transplants, so it's like Steelers and all that. But yeah, man, I was like very like, dang, you guys just took the wind out of my sail. I was really excited for this Jimmy Butler thing, and nobody really seems to care.
Yeah. Well,
But either way, I cared
we
and
care.
Jimmy
I care.
Butler.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
So I'm all about it. Balling for me is Boston, who will finally, after previewing it for so long, 10 in a row.
Jeez.
They're 28-3 at home at this point. Tatum had 30 plus last night. They're 8 games fully up on the Cavs and the Bucks, which I think is the most probably alarming stat for everyone here. And look, like it is, it's do or die time for
They're
Boston. Like
pissed.
they have
Yeah.
to get over the hump with this roster.
Yep.
Like everyone knew going into this season it was title or bust. But
Yeah, if you don't get it, mm-mm.
I mean, their last 2 losses were to the LA teams. They lost to the Lakers on February 1st. They lost to the Clippers on January 27th. But I mean, even really, they've won 12 of their last 13 overall.
And aren't they winning by like an extraordinary amount? Like the average like point spread is like I saw was over like 13 or 14 points.
And the biggest thing that makes it ballin' for me and why I really wanted to highlight it is they have the easiest schedule the rest of the way. Like they've
Yep.
got a gauntlet these next 4. They beat Dallas last night. They've got Golden State, they've got Cleveland, they've got Denver, they've got Phoenix. The Cleveland, Denver, and Phoenix games are all on the road. But after that, you got a lot of games that are very, very winnable the rest of the way. Multiple games against the Wizards, multiple games against the Pistons, the Hawks. They got a
It's
game the Bulls, the Hornets, the Blazers.
it's worth mentioning, by the way, because you brought up strength of schedule. Boston is down there with an easy schedule. Orlando and Miami also have those 3 round out the 3 easiest schedules going forward this season, which is very odd that 3 teams in the East would have that. Obviously, it matters because you're going to be playing those guys. But like Phoenix, Milwaukee, Utah, Lakers, those are the top 4 in terms of strength of schedule remaining. So not going to be easy for those guys, but for like Orlando Magic fans who I've been at least specifically Chase here in our building, who I've been dumping on all season, he's gonna be able to shove it
He's
in
not
my
gonna let
face.
you live. Chase is not gonna let you live.
I
He's
know,
texting me about it on the side where he's like, every time I see Justin, I'm telling him we're different. I was
I
like,
know.
they
Been giving him a hard time. I've been really giving him a hard time. So
the Magic I'm impressed with because they looked like they were starting to have the swoon a little bit where
and
it was
and
like
I was so relentless when they started with that. I was so relentless. I was like, see, I told you,
I
man, it's
even had that
happening.
I even had that moment too where I was like, "Oh man, Orlando, is it really not gonna click?" And they have really firmed
They've
up here in
helped.
the second
Yeah.
half. I mean,
Yeah.
Orlando, I was on Chase's pod. If you want to go check that out on Bunker's Burning Hot Take a week ago, and we talked a little bit about like where we could see the Magic, like what's their best case scenario. And I was kind of being like, oh, maybe they get to 6, maybe they get to 5. They're not that far off 4 at this point if the Knicks
No,
continue to swoon. Um, Orlando getting a first round playoff series or a
it'd be
home
cool.
first round playoff
Be
series
awesome.
would be and the biggest success they possibly could have this year, in my opinion.
What I would love, and I know we already kinda have it with the Amtrak, but I would love for, like, the Bright Line that opened up down in Orlando that goes, like, straight to Miami.
Mhm.
I would love that to just connect to Jacksonville so I could go to an Orlando Magic game real easily. Like, that would be so nice because I would love to go to an Orlando Magic game, but the idea of having to drive on I-4 makes me never wanna go.
I mean, realistically, they need a train, and the part of I-4 to get to downtown is not really that bad.
No, but it's the I-4 in
I
general.
I know, and once you get to when you go to Tampa, it's more frustrating from Orlando, I found, because it's just
Remember
there's no reason there should be traffic.
were you already living in Orlando the year I got into a car accident leaving, summer league?
Yeah, I had to have been because I wasn't in the car with you,
Yeah,
so
Tim was with me. We got into a car accident. I think maybe it was Carlton and Tim then. Yeah.
no, where was how was I not there?
I don't know. I'm guessing you were in Orlando.
Maybe
You
it
just lived
was.
there.
I remember we covered no, you know what it was?
Did
That
you
what
drive
it was one
separate?
of the weekends I came that wasn't even a summer league weekend. There was a weekend after we came
Uh,
down because wasn't Masad there? No, we're deep in the trenches. Well, I think
I
there's a
think
picture
so.
of you, me,
Yeah.
Masad, Tim, Carlton, all at the big chair, at the big
Yeah.
beach chair
It
on
must
Wall
have been
Street
that weekend.
downtown.
Yeah, it must have been that weekend.
I did live in Orlando then,
Mhm.
and what happened?
It was I-4. I mean, I-4 traffic. I stopped. The lady behind me didn't. She rear-ended me. And so yeah, I remember that though. She got me good. And really there wasn't even that much damage on my bumper.
Yeah.
And so she didn't want to use insurance. And I was like, all right, well, let me just take it into a shop and see if they can paint it and all that stuff. The guy's like, oh no, man, like for bumpers, we got to take the whole thing off. We got to paint it. We got to put it back on. It's gonna be like $700. And so I like started hitting her up. I'm like, hey, they said it's $700. What do you want me to do? I can file it through car insurance or whatever. And she ghosted me for like 4 days. So I just filed it through insurance and I guess they billed her and everything worked out. And I was like, all right. She never responded. So
That's good they built her at least. I was about to be like, I figured you might have got just ghosted
no,
and
no,
doing
because
it.
I got a picture of her insurance card. I had her phone number. I
Okay,
had everything. So when
yeah.
it was time to submit, I was like, hey, this is who hit me. Like I had all of it. So yeah, it was a
Yeah.
whole thing. It was
No.
crazy. We brought up I-4 and I was just like, oh yeah, I forgot I did that.
Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't worse. I-4, yeah, it
Mhm.
can be terrible. They need a train. The train to Orlando to Miami, that Bright Line train is a massive success, and I'm glad they have it now. Ideally,
Apparently
they need Bright Line to run up and down the coast from
be
Jacksonville to
dope.
Miami,
It'd be
and then
dope.
have it do essentially the I-4 corridor because they're already partly like Sunrail does. You can get from like DeBerry and DeLand all the way pretty far into Orlando. Like you can take it to Magic games
Yeah.
every day if you wanted. Basically, like if you're in, you go Sanford if you're in Seminole County.
Neil
Um,
does it for work. He takes it into work every day.
oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Hey,
But like, you know, Nicole has family in Pompano down by Miami. It's like it would be so much easier for us, especially with Quinn, to just like get on a train, have a few drinks, let her play with her games and be distracted and get there without having to like drive and all that stuff. Like that would be really helpful.
yeah, no,
Way sidetracked to
I
that.
hear you. I'm a
But
big
to
train
that
guy,
is
bro. I take it daily.
But to that is like, man, I would love to be able to go to an Orlando Magic playoff game. That would be so fun. Are we on Fallen? Did we do
Yeah,
Fallen?
who's
Okay.
falling for you this week, Just?
My Fallen for me is 2 injuries that happened pretty much last night. Raptors are saying Scotty Barnes sustained a fracture to the third metacarpal bone in his left hand and is out indefinitely. Clippers guard I can't say Russell Westbrook. Holy man. He fractured his left hand, way less descriptive than the Raptors team, apparently. But he fractured his left hand, and I would imagine is going to have him out for a couple of weeks as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I might as well just say my fallen now too, because it was kind of just all the injuries in general, all
Hmm.
the hand injuries. That because to add to that, of course, Trey Young,
Yep.
who is going to be out 4 weeks. He has a torn ligament in a finger in his hand, in his
Oof.
left hand. So yeah, just a bizarre run of injuries. Obviously for Atlanta, for Toronto, losing Trey and losing Barnes respectively is pretty devastating when your
It
best
is,
players go down.
but it's like, were you guys really going to make a run anyway?
No. If you're the Hawks, it may mean the difference between getting
It
in the
could.
play-in games and
It
not.
could.
But though
It could.
Toronto, with Barnes being out, that's one of the teams that would probably be chasing you. So
Yeah.
Brooklyn would
Clippers,
be the one that would maybe look to take advantage of this. For the Clippers, that's a bigger
that's a
loss
big
than
hit.
Russ being
Yeah.
out.
Clippers are going to
Obviously, he's
feel
been
that one.
phenomenal since coming to the bench.
Yeah, I agree. So that's another one that's going to hurt them. So
Yeah, he had 6 points and 1 assist and just 10 minutes left. Again, we'll see what happens, but he's been an important part of that lineup. You just again, glad that it happened now in March. Rather take the hit than come playoff time.
Yep.
But all right, shall we switch gears a little bit and get into Immaculate Grid?
A quick immaculate grid. Let me take this off and share my screen. I feel like it's going to be an easy one.
I'm so tired of doing board outside and I'm frustrated because I play this grid all the time. And then every Saturday or whenever we record, we go to boot this up. And it's always born outside the US 50 states in DC. We know how to do this.
Right, right. Well, and you start learning certain players. Like, I bet you, does he work there? Does Dennis Schroeder work there?
He doesn't for Washington. No.
Okay. I was gonna
Unfortunately,
say, wait
I
a
hate to
second.
say he doesn't work for Washington
Okay.
there. But to go over for the podcast listeners again, you can watch the grid on YouTube. Just search Tribunish NBA podcast. For the pod listeners, our columns from left to right, we got the Washington Wizards Rookie of the Year and 5 assists per game per season. Our rows from top to bottom, we got the Celtics, we got the Spurs, and we got our favorite born outside the US 50 states and DC.
Okay, I think I have a player that actually works for both Wizards, Spurs, and Wizards born outside of the US.
Okay.
And that is what is it? Does he go by, is it Jan Mahimi or Ian Mahimi?
Oh no, Jan Mahimi.
Jan Mahimi.
Did Jan Mahimi play for the Spurs? He definitely is born outside the U.S. I have no doubt about that. Quick, I know he played for the Wizards. Did he play for the Spurs?
I'm pretty sure he played for the Spurs, but here's my low key. I think Tomas Satoransky works better for Wizards Spurs because I'm pretty sure he only played like 1 game for the Spurs.
Wow. I'm not gonna lie, you just put me in a blender, bro.
Those two, I don't know. Wow. I know for a fact they both were on the Wizards. I'm pretty sure Satoransky was on the Spurs for like 1 game. I'm pretty sure that dude played 1 game for the Spurs.
These are both going to be like 0.1% if you nail both of these.
But that's what I'm saying is Mahimi might be better suited for born outside the U.S.
Mahimi definitely works there. Like I'm 100% he played for the Wizards and was born outside. So I'm cool if you want to do him there. I trust Satoransky because listen, when you're off the grid guesses come around, they're always right. It feels like so.
How did it? There it is.
There. Yeah, top guy.
Baby 0.9.
9. Good for you, dude.
Oh man,
he played. How do you know this,
dude? Because I think it was. I want to say it was 20. I don't know. There was
in 2022. He played 1 game for the Spurs. He played 32 games for the Pelicans. That's where he was at the start of the season.
Yeah,
he played literally 1 game for the San Antonio Spurs.
I want to say it had something to do with an NBA 2K because that's usually where it goes back to. I loved playing as Satoransky in like NBA 2K 17 or 18 on the Wizards. And so I've always just had a soft spot for him. And then I remember him getting traded to the Spurs, but I didn't remember him playing much. So literally guessing it on the dot 1 game was a little lucky, but I knew it wasn't many games if he played.
I mean, I knew he played for the Wiz. He started, I mean, he was he was in the rotation for a while with the Wiz.
Yeah.
He went to Chicago for a few years and then, Pels, Spurs, and Wizards again all in the same season. But that's wild. I mean, Mahimi, I definitely did. Mahimi, now looking it up, did play for the Spurs as well. He had 3 seasons with the Spurs. He had a quietly way longer NBA career than I expected. Playing from 07-08 to 29-20 was his last year. His last 4 years are with the Wizards. He did win the title with Dallas in 2011.
Wow. Okay.
Another fun fact. So
interesting.
For the rest of that column, I mean, the chalky obvious one right in front of us for Celtics is Porzingis. Like that's the easy. It literally just happened. I feel like we should think about that a little more.
Help me remember the Al Horford leave Boston, come back. Did he ever end up with the Wizards?
No. Al Horford went for the Sixers for a year, and the Sixers traded him to OKC, and then from OKC. Boston.
OKC. Okay.
He and Chris Paul had exiles in OKC, or not exiles, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought I had, or no, you know what?
Did Brandon Bass play for the Wizards?
That's not who I was thinking of, but I
He
know
had to
Brandon
have
Bass.
been there, right?
He definitely played for the Celtics. I have no doubt about that. I don't know if he played for the Wizards. The one who I was thinking of that just popped into my head, who I'm pretty sure did, and I know he played for Boston, and I'm pretty sure he played for the Wizards as well, Chris Humphries.
Oh, that's usually my go-to.
Yeah.
Or good, like my go-to with the Wizards is like Chris Humphries, Gortat, like those
Yeah,
guys.
Gortat's a
Which
good
I guess he
one.
would have worked for outside of the US.
Yeah, he definitely would.
Humphries,
Yeah,
let's
I'm
go
pretty
Humphries.
sure Chris Humphries works there.
Let's go Kardashians. 1%.
1%. Nice. Hell yeah. Yeah,
All right,
Chris Humphries was on a lot. Let me Chris Humphries, let's pull this up. Chris Humphries. Yeah, 9 different teams. Or no, 2 of these are just different Nets. Just kidding. There's Nets in Brooklyn, New Jersey. Chris Humphries played for the Jazz. He played for the Raptors. He played for Dallas. He played for the Nets, Boston, Washington, the Suns, and the Hawks. And I thought I guess he got bought out by the Sixers. Okay. He was on the Sixers very
Oh,
briefly.
I was gonna say I didn't remember. That's a low key one that would. Did he play games? Did he play games?
No, he didn't. So he didn't play games.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that would be a low key move right there.
Okay, so for rookies of the year, the Spurs have 2 obvious ones. Do you want Tim Duncan or do you want David Robinson? They both won Rookie of the Year.
Is there, and don't hate me for this, is there a player that ended up on the team that won Rookie of the Year with another team? You know what I mean? He never like Derrick Rose bopped around a while. Like that would be a good move. Or like Michael, where did Michael Carter Williams go? Did he ever play for either?
Everywhere.
That's what I mean. Like, did he have a stint with Boston or the Spurs? Because no one would remember that.
I don't think he did either of them,
Malcolm Brogdon, didn't he end up with the
Brogdon did play for Boston. Brogdon would work for Boston.
That would be one people wouldn't think, right?
Did he have to win it for Boston? Or is he just a Rookie of the Year?
It, right? That would be so specific. Does not need to be in the same season.
When paired with another category, does not need to be in the same season. No, but it says when paired with a team, Rookie of the Year must be won with the team.
Okay. So then we do got to go.
That knocks Brogdon out then, because Brogdon won in Milwaukee. He would work if it was just somebody that played Rookie of the Year.
No, you're right. So then so then we do go chalky a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like we have to. I hate to say it. Celtics Rookie of the Year. I mean, my initial reaction is Bird. Bird won Rookie of the Year over Magic.
Bird's a good one.
I don't think. I mean, I would think Bill Russell probably won Rookie of the Year, but I don't know about that. Same with like Bob Cousy, John Havlicek. Like I know a bunch of elite Boston players. I don't feel confident about any of them winning Rookie of the Year other than Larry Bird.
Yeah. Let's just go. Let's just be chalky with it then.
All right. So
we'll go Bird.
Legend.
Yeah, we'll go Bird. Yeah, 93. Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, that probably means there's only one other answer.
So then do we just want to go Tim Duncan here or you go Robinson?
Or David Robinson. I'm pretty sure Robinson won Rookie of the Year. I'm not as confident as I am with Tim Duncan, but I'm still pretty confident about it.
Let's just go Tim then.
All right, that's fine.
Let's just keep it safe with Tim.
68. So, okay, so Robinson did win it then.
Yeah, he had to have been the other option.
I'll have to look. I don't want to look at it yet because I don't want to do the ruin born outside of 50 states in the U.S.
We could go Luka.
Yeah, Luka's probably the chalkiest one.
Yeah. Wiggins wasn't Wiggins? Is Wiggins Canadian?
Wiggins is Canadian,
and he won Rookie of the Year. He would be an interesting one. I bet people don't think he's I guess born outside of the U.S.
No, I'm actually okay with that. I feel like a lot of people forget Wiggins won Rookie of the Year too, because I kind of forgot Wiggins won Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, so, let's go Wiggins. 3%, baby. 3%,
yeah, nice. Yeah, born in Canada. Good call, Just.
Boris. Oh wait, no, I wanted to go Boris Diaw.
No. I'll tell you what, closer with the assists and the rebounds.
That's what I'm saying. He's got to be close. Dang it! I want to find a spot where Boris Diaw works. Damn it. Okay.
Right. So Celtics 5 assists per game per season. The chalky answer is Rondo.
Isaiah Thomas, Marcus Smart. Kemba Walker. I think we did him last time.
We did do Kemba last time.
He was low too. I bet he'd still be low. Kyrie?
Kyrie probably did.
I would assume so too.
I think Kemba will be lower than Kyrie.
You want to go Kemba?
We want to use Kemba back to back.
I know it's kind of cheap, but we'll know it'll be low.
It's not really because like Kemba barely played on Boston. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Also, like he was kind of washed. Are we sure Kemba had 5?
I thought we did it last week, and he had it like just barely.
No, that was scoring.
Oh, was that scoring? Was that 20 points per game? Oh. Then no, I'm not confident. I was only confident because I thought we did it last week.
No, we did. We got scoring last week, and he just made it.
So let's do Isaiah Thomas, and he definitely had it, right? Isaiah Thomas definitely had it. He was like 20 points per game.
Just make sure you spell it right. Yeah, because it's not the top Isaiah Thomas.
It's this one.
One. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, but 4%.
4%. Wow, lower than I expected. Yeah, let me pull up. I'm curious now with Isaiah Thomas. He for sure had to. All right, Isaiah Thomas and Ball. Yeah, he got the first year he was there. He had 5. He had 6.2, 5.9, and then he got traded.
Okay.
I want to look at Kemba now just to be sure.
Did Kemba get it? There's no.
Not with Boston.
No. Okay.
He was real to be 4.9. That would have been brutal.
I would have been so upset.
4.8 and 4.9. He did have over 5 multiple years. Basically,
but it has to be with
Charlotte.
It must be achieved with the team. So, all right.
The chalky Spurs one is Tony Parker.
Tony Parker. Do we think Ginobili got it? Did Corey Joseph ever get it?
On Corey Joe. I don't have nearly enough there. Ginobili's interesting because Ginobili's close, but I don't feel good enough about it.
What about what's his name who's on the Hawks now?
Oh, DeJounte Murray. I would imagine he probably had it. I don't see why. I mean, he's point guard there. He made an all-star team. Like I
think so too. Do we just go Murray?
Yeah, Murray's probably like he'll be high, but I think it won't be as high as like a Tony Parker.
5%.
Only 5. Wow. Okay.
Let's go, Murray. We got a lot of options here with born outside the 50 states and 5 assists per game. Rubio, obviously a high one. I bet Luka's on it.
Rubio was the first person that came to mind. We've been using him a lot recently.
Well, I told you, anytime it's 5 assists and born outside the U.S., I go Rubio.
Yeah, Luka's probably a good one, honestly, because I feel like people associate him with shooting more than passing, and he definitely has well over 5 a game. Obviously, he's playing currently.
Tony Parker also probably works here.
Parker would work there, yeah, and he probably got burnt for the Spurs a ton.
Mm-hmm. Where was Steve Nash born?
Canada, so he would work there.
He'd work there too.
Yeah. Steve Nash, I think, will be one of the more popular ones.
I think so. I just don't think people think he's born outside the U.S. though.
Oh, so I do. I feel like he's Mr. Canada.
Oh, do you? Okay.
I think he is the big Canadian baller. Obviously, a bunch of guys recently who have kind of changed that a little bit with Wiggins, with RJ Barrett, with SGA.
Was Jeremy Lin born outside the U.S. and do we think he had 5 assists per game?
I don't know either of them, and I'm way more confident about the former. I think.
Part of me wants to look it up. We won't use them. I'm just curious.
No, Jeremy Lin was born in California.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Who do you want to go with then?
I'm cool. Parker might be good, honestly, because I think a lot of people are going to use him for the Spurs.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
Just feels like a safe one that won't be too ridiculous.
Lock it in. Bam. There we go.
9 out of 9. All right.
Only 3 options for rookie of the year for the Celtics and the Spurs, apparently.
Wow, 3 for the Spurs. I wonder if you know what? I bet George Gervin won it.
Didn't Kawhi get it? Nope. Who is Swen Nader? 70s.
Wow. Yeah. I learned something today. I would not have got that. David Robinson, the other one. Who were Boston's besides who did we besides Larry Bird? Who did we put?
So Larry Bird, Dave Cowens.
Dave Cowens, yeah. Okay.
And then, you're gonna have to help me out with this last name from the 50s, 56 and 57. Tom Shown.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, okay.
way throwback.
Dude, that's
Yeah.
the thing with the Celtics is, like, the Celtics have so many Hall of Famers from back then, like, guys like not just Bill Russell, but, like, Bob Cousy and Casey Jones and John Havlicek and, like, all those other guys work in a lot of categories, but with Rookie of the Year, you just may not have won it. Um
So interesting. We really didn't think this through. For the 5 assists per game and born outside the US, just this year alone,
oh, I mean, SGA probably has 5.
Giannis, Luka, Embiid, SGA, Kyrie,
Oh,
Jokic,
yeah,
Jamal
Jokic.
Murray, Dennis Schroeder, Ben Simmons, Giannis from last year, Josh Giddey, Pascal Siakam from last year. Like, we've got like so many
Yeah,
options. Holy
Schroeder is a
moly.
good that is funny when you brought up Schroeder. That makes a ton of
Hey,
sense when being a point guard.
Tomas Satoransky would work for 18 and 19. That's
That's
hilarious. That's a
crazy. That'd be the
name to keep.
lowest for sure.
That's a name to keep in the back pocket for 5+ assists in a game.
It is.
JJ Barea also works.
Well, and there's a big difference between 5 and 10. Like you can, and
Yeah.
that's where I think you see it with some of the big men, like with the Giannis's of the world. I mean, Jokic is a little more pass
Joe
friendly, but even with Embiid.
Ingles. Joe Ingles works.
Wow. Okay. Hey,
Uh,
I like that.
Nicholas Batum from the 2017
Yep.
2018 season works.
Makes sense. Can we scroll down? Can you see the most? Let's go through the most popular answers real quick. So for Celtics, or Wizards, not really surprised.
Bertans.
Porzingis.
Wow, I forgot
Larry
about
Bird for
him.
Rookie of the Year. Rondo for 5 assists per game per season for the
Your time.
Spurs. Spurs Wizards. Davis Bertans the main one. Tim Duncan Rookie of the Year. Tony Parker, like we said, 5 a game per season. It was Steve Nash number 1
Good
for 5
call.
assist games per season. Your boy Gortat for Wizards and born outside the U.S. Again, not really a terrible surprise there. Luca for born outside Rookie of the Year. Again, that's the most recent, I believe, so that makes a lot of sense. Just to go through our grid one last time. For Celtics Wizards, we got Chris Humphreys. For Celtics Spurs, Justin, man, Thomas Satoransky, what a guess. Well, 1 game literally played for the Spurs. Jan Mahinmi for Wizards, born outside the U.S. Rookie of the Year, born outside the U.S. Andrew Wiggins. Spurs Rookie of the Year, Tim Duncan. Celtics Larry Bird. 5 assists per game per season for the Celtics, Isaiah Thomas. For the Spurs, DeJounte Murray. And for born outside the U.S., Tony Parker. So
I am.
I really like that. I mean, a little chalky with the Rookie of the Year, but you kind of have to be, like, when
Yeah.
it's with a specific team. Like,
Yeah, unless you're gonna go back to like the 50s and real early.
Dave Cowens is a Hall of Famer, and I would get to him at like my 7th guess. Like that's the
Right.
thing. It's like I would get
Dude,
there eventually.
There was, and I'll be completely honest, a 0% chance I would have thought of him.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, I get that, and I'm super into the kind of the hoops history a little bit. We know I'm a history guy. Spurs a little easier when you have the 2 premier guys like that with Duncan and David Robinson, who are both so popular. Definitely helps a little bit. But thank you everyone for listening to this episode of the Drive and Dish NBA podcast. We appreciate you guys as always. Leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad. We'll read them on the podcast. If you're not an Apple user, Google Play Store, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Player FM, anywhere you find your podcast, you can find us.
Jose Calderon also works like numerous times in that 5 assists. That's a good one too.
And a free throw record holder.
Yep. And so obviously hit us up on YouTube. We've got video versions of the podcast there where you can watch and subscribe and get information on when new episodes are coming out and watch the video version of our tiers and of our immaculate grids.